and welcome everyone to a new segment we're doing here at the Foster Festival called 5 for Foster, where we ask Norm Foster 5 questions about things that we're doing here at the festival or just general questions of interest. So Norm, we have an upcoming reading of one of your new plays, My Hero. So I'm going to ask you a few questions around that topic.
Okay.
So question number 1. We are going to be workshopping and presenting a live reading of one of your new plays, My Hero, in April. So can you tell us a little bit about the play?
Yeah, My Hero is about a 40-year-old English literature teacher who lives with his mother. And his father, who is deceased, was a superstar hockey player. Um, Died about, I think it's like 20 years ago. And anyway, it's about the relationship that the son has with the mother, and the mother is now starting to date a new fella after all these years, and it's how the son reacts to that. And of course, the son is by himself too, and he doesn't have anybody in his life. And it's about how these three characters sort of intersect at this point in their lives. And I'm really happy with the way it turned out, because when the title is My Hero, and you think, wow, that must be the father. Well, it could be, or maybe it's not. You never know. But I really like the title, and so I started writing the play, and it sort of flowed out of me, and it's just something that I think it only took me maybe a month to write this play. It was I was so excited to write it. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. And I remember reading it immediately after you sent it to me, and it is a very beautiful script. It's wonderful between the mother and son. Me being a mother who has a son, I love this. Yeah. Okay, question number 2. What was your inspiration for writing the play, or where did you get the idea for it?
I got the idea from the title.
Yeah.
I said, My Hero, what a great title that would be. And that's where I got the idea for the story. And I just built the story around that. There's back in the 70s, 1974, there was a hockey player named Tim Horton. Yes, the same Tim Horton that the donuts are named after. He died in a car crash just outside of St. Catharines on the QEW.
Wow.
Coming back from a game in Buffalo. And that became part of the story. That was, the play wasn't based on that, but it became part of the story as I got to writing. I thought, well, the son is going to have a father who was a hockey player who died. I thought, well, the old Tim Horton story like that. And so I sort of put that into it. The hockey player's name was Bobby Devine. And but when I was writing the story, I was thinking, yeah, Tim Horton, because Tim Horton, I was a hockey fan as a kid, and Tim Horton was on my team. So that became part of the story. You always use something that's a part of your life when you're writing it, whether you mean it or not. Some of your life comes into every play, I think. Yeah.
Wow. So the play in this workshop and reading is being directed by the fabulous Sheila McCarthy. Have you ever worked with Sheila as a director before?
You know what? I don't think I have worked with Sheila as a director, but I worked with Sheila as an actress. I first worked with Sheila in Halifax a few years ago in a play of mine called Mrs. Parliament's Night Out, and Sheila was Mrs. Parliament. I never met her before. She showed up at rehearsal, and she was the complete professional. And I thought, I really admire this woman. She came in, she knew almost all of her lines. She was never a problem, and she was great in the part. And I fell in love with her. And then we worked with her again when she was in halfway to the North Pole, which became halfway there. She was in that play at the Foster Festival. She was great. And so I did a reading with Sheila on Valentine's Day, a play of mine called, was it Old Love? Yeah, Old Love. Yeah. And I thought, how lucky am I to have this person in my life as a professional compatriot? I think it's great. Yeah. So I love working with Sheila.
Oh yeah, and you both definitely had great chemistry during that reading of Old Love. So I'm looking forward to seeing her now direct one of your pieces. Okay, question number 4. Are any of the characters in the play based on someone you know, and you've kind of touched on this, or were they truly born from your imagination? So Jim and Corinne and
Yeah, the characters themselves are out of my imagination. However, the mother's name is Corinne. That was my mother's name. I thought I'd use that. Yeah. But the Corinne in this story is nothing like my mother. And that's the fun for me in writing, is that you make these characters up, you pull them out of your head, and you don't base them on anybody that you know. I like creating the characters. That's why it's called creative writing, I guess, you know. But I like creating the characters and seeing how they develop throughout the play.
That's great. So, as you mentioned in the play, we learn that before he died, Jim's father was a hockey player at the peak of his career. Do you have a favorite hockey team?
Oh, I do. I have a favorite hockey team, the Toronto Maple Leafs, because I grew up in Toronto, and that's a game that I knew the Tim Horton story so well. And I have a favorite player. Frank Mahovlich was my hero when I was growing up. And yeah, so that's my favorite team, the Maple Leafs.
That's great. Thank you so much, Norm, for answering our 5 questions today. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you.